There's a moment in life when everything feels normal, until one sentence flips your entire reality upside down. For me, that moment came standing on a gravel driveway, suitcase still in my hand, listening to music from a wedding I wasn't allowed to enter. But the real shock. 3 days later, I got a call about a $38,000 bill with my name on it. And I had never signed anything. My name is Athena. I'm 34, and I work in compliance consulting in London. The kind of job where you read contracts carefully enough to spot lies hiding in plain sight. Which is ironic, because I didn't see this one coming. For months earlier, I received an envelope that felt heavier than it should have. Cream paper. Gold-pressed lettering. Expensive. Inside was an invitation. My younger sister Paige was getting married. Now, if you knew my family, you'd understand why that alone was strange. Growing up, there were always two versions of life under our roof. Paige's version, full of attention, gifts, and praise. And mine, quiet, overlooked, self-managed. She got a car at 16. I got reminders that I should figure things out myself. I left home at 18 and never really went back. Not emotionally, anyway. So when I saw that invitation, I didn't feel excitement. I felt confusion. But then I saw the handwritten note tucked inside. It wouldn't feel complete without you. Please come. 7 years of distance, and suddenly, this? It didn't make sense. But something in me, maybe curiosity, maybe hope, booked the flight anyway. $1,400. 18 hours. One question in my mind. Had they changed? When I landed in Charlotte, everything felt familiar, but distant. Like walking through a memory that didn't belong to you anymore. I checked into a hotel instead of going home. That had become a habit. Home wasn't really home. I called Paige. She sounded distracted. Rushed. Like I was just another task on her list. Then I called my mom. Her first words. "Oh, you actually came." Not "I'm glad you're here." Not "I missed you." Just surprise. Like I was a risk she didn't expect me to take. That's when I felt it. That quiet shift in the air. The kind you can't explain, but you know something isn't right. The next day, I arrived at the wedding venue. It was beautiful. Way beyond anything my family could afford. Lights, chandeliers, music floating through the air. For a second, I thought maybe things really had changed. Then I saw my father standing outside. Not greeting guests. Not smiling. Waiting. For me. He stepped forward and said something I'll never forget. "Turn around. You're not allowed in." I thought he was joking. He wasn't. "You weren't supposed to come," he said. I held up the invitation. My name. Printed clearly. He didn't even look at it. That was a mistake. Inside, I could see my sister laughing in her wedding dress. My mother stood nearby, watching. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't stop him. And just like that, I was erased. I walked back to my car without saying another word. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because something inside me had already gone quiet. I didn't cry for the wedding. I cried because I let myself believe things might be different. But here's the part no one saw coming. 3 days later, my phone rang. And what my mother said next changed everything. Because getting kicked out of the wedding? That wasn't the real story. The real story begins when they tried to make me pay for it. 3 days after I was turned away from my own sister's wedding, my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. But in my line of work, you don't ignore calls when something feels off, you face them. It was my mother. No greeting. No small talk. Just one sentence. "We need to talk about the payment." I frowned. What payment? A pause. Then she said it, flat, cold, rehearsed. "The venue. The total is $38,000. When are you going to pay it?" For a second, I genuinely thought I misheard her. "I'm sorry, what?" "You signed as guarantor," she continued. "Your name is on the contract." Everything in me went still. Not shocked. Not emotional. Just still. Because I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I had never signed anything. Mom, I said slowly, I didn't agree to that. I didn't sign anything for this wedding. There was movement on the other end. Papers shuffling. Then my father's voice cut in. Sharp. Controlled. Stop pretending, Athena. Your name is on the agreement. You owe this family. That word again. Oh. I sat up straighter. You kicked me out of the wedding, I said. And now you're telling me I owe you $38,000. We'll deal with that later, he snapped. Right now, handle the bill. That's when something shifted. Not anger. Not hurt. Clarity. Because this wasn't just manipulation. This was something else. Something legal. And dangerous. I didn't sign anything, I repeated. So either you're mistaken, or someone signed my name. Silence. Not confusion. Not denial. Just silence. Then he said, slower this time. Then who did? And hung up. I sat there staring at my phone. In my world, contracts aren't suggestions. They're proof. And if my name was on one, without my consent, that wasn't a misunderstanding. That was fraud. So I did what I always do. I verified. I called the venue directly. A woman answered, professional, calm, experienced. I introduced myself and asked one question. Is there a guarantor listed under my name for the Sinclair wedding? Yes, she said. There is. My stomach dropped. But I didn't sign it, I replied. The silence that followed was different this time. Heavier. Real. When she spoke again, her tone had changed. If that's true, this is a serious legal issue. Exactly. I requested a copy of the contract immediately. She explained the process, formal request, ID verification, legal review. I completed everything within minutes. Because when something doesn't feel right, you don't wait. Then I called Rachel. My closest friend. A legal professional. The one person I trusted to tell me the truth. There's a contract with my name on it, I said. And I didn't sign it. She didn't panic. She didn't hesitate. She just said. Then someone forged it. That word hung in the air. Forged. Not mistaken. Not accidental. Intentional. And suddenly, everything made sense. The rushed phone calls. The strange tone. The way I was kept outside the wedding. They didn't want me there. Because if I had walked inside, I might have found out. I had 48 hours before the contract arrived. 48 hours to decide what I was going to do. Walk away. Or expose everything. Because what I found inside that contract wasn't just my name. It was proof that someone in my own family had become me on paper. The contract arrived early Sunday morning. I remember the exact time, 7:12 a.m. I hadn't slept much the night before. My laptop was already open, my inbox refreshing every few minutes like I was waiting for something I knew would change everything. And it did. The email subject line was simple. Requested document, Sinclair event. No warning. No explanation. Just an attachment. Before I opened it, my phone rang. My father. Of course. Athena, he said, voice steady, too steady. I hope you've had time to think this through. I didn't answer that. Instead, I said, funny timing. I just received the contract. Silence. Then, good. Then you can finally stop pretending. That word again. Pretending. I leaned back in my chair. Did your lawyer friend also explain what happens if a signature is forged? There it was. A pause. Longer this time. No one forged anything, he replied, but the confidence was gone. Good, I said calmly. Then we'll let the document speak for itself. And I hung up. I didn't open the file immediately. Not because I was afraid, but because I needed to be completely clear-headed. This wasn't just emotional anymore. This was evidence. I made coffee, sat down, took one breath. Then I opened the PDF. Page 1, event details. Page 2, Payment structure. Page 3. Guarantor agreement. And there it was. My name. Typed neatly. Athena Sinclair. Below it. A signature. Supposedly mine. I stared at it for a long time. To anyone else, it might have looked convincing. The same loops. The same shape. But I knew my signature. Every curve. Every pressure point. This was close. But wrong. The slant was too sharp. The spacing was off. The letters didn't connect the way mine always do. It looked like someone had practiced it. Copied it. Recreated it. But they didn't understand it. I slowly placed my passport next to the screen. My real signature. Clean. Consistent. Familiar. Side by side. There was no comparison. That's not mine, I said out loud. And for the first time since all of this started, I wasn't guessing anymore. I knew. I called Rachel immediately. Well, she asked. They copied it, I said. It's not even good. She didn't sound surprised. That's forgery, she replied. Legally, that contract means nothing. Nothing. The word hit differently than I expected. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. This was about identity. Someone had taken my name and used it like it belonged to them. Within an hour, Rachel was at my hotel. Laptop open. Notes ready. We worked fast. Formal statement. Proof of identity. Clear declaration. I did not sign this document. We attached everything. Passport, written claim, timeline. Then we sent it directly to the venue's legal department. No emotion. No accusations. Just facts. When it was done, I leaned back and stared at the ceiling. So what happens now? I asked. Rachel smiled slightly. Now, we let them investigate. But the investigation wasn't the part that mattered most. Because something else was already happening. Behind my back. That same afternoon, my phone started buzzing. Messages. Calls. Voicemails. From family members I hadn't heard from in years. And every single one of them was saying the same thing. You promised to pay. Because while I was proving the truth, my family was busy rewriting it. And turning everyone against me. By the time Sunday arrived, I already knew one thing for sure. This wasn't going to be a conversation. It was going to be a confrontation. My mother had organized a family brunch. 15 people. All of them already convinced I was the problem. All of them expecting me to walk in, apologize, and pay. What they didn't know. I wasn't bringing excuses. I was bringing proof. I walked into the house and immediately felt it. The silence. The tension. Every eye on me. No empty seat at the table. Of course. Cousin Dylan quietly pulled out a chair for me. The only person in that room who hadn't already judged me. My father stood at the head of the table like he owned the moment. We're here, he began, because Athena made a commitment and now she's refusing to honor it. Nods around the room. Agreement. Disappointment. Judgment. My mother dabbed her eyes. We never wanted this to become public. Public. They had already made it public. Just not with the truth. Then my sister spoke. Soft. Controlled. Practiced. I just wanted my sister at my wedding, and now she's turned everything into money. That was the narrative. And they were all playing their parts perfectly. I didn't interrupt. I didn't argue. I let them finish. Every word. Every lie. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let people fully expose themselves. Then I stood up. The room went quiet instantly. I placed the contract on the table. This, I said calmly, is the agreement everyone keeps talking about. They leaned in. Watching. Waiting. My name is on it, I continued. Pause. But that is not my signature. I placed my passport beside it. This is my signature. The shift in the room was immediate. Subtle, but real. People leaned closer. Eyes narrowed. Comparing. Thinking. For the first time. Questioning. Then I placed the final document down. A letter from the venue. They've already started investigating the forgery, I said. And they've suspended all charges against me. Silence. Not the same silence as before. This one had weight. My father tried to speak. It's not like that. But his voice didn't carry anymore. Because now, the room was no longer on his side. Then came the moment that changed everything. My brother-in-law, Tyler, looked at my sister. Confused. Shaken. You told me this was handled, he said. She didn't answer. You knew, he asked. Still nothing. And that silence said more than anything else ever could. The room fractured. Questions. Accusations. Realization spreading like fire. And through it all, I didn't raise my voice once. I'm not paying anything, I said clearly. I didn't sign that contract. I owe nothing. I looked around the table. One by one. I showed up to that wedding, I added. And I was turned away by the same person who signed my name. No one argued with that. Because no one could. I gathered my documents, closed the folder, and walked out. No yelling. No drama. No begging. Just truth. The next morning, I got the email. Final confirmation from the venue. The contract was void. The signature was forged. I owed nothing. And just like that, everything they built collapsed. But here's the part people don't expect. Winning didn't feel loud. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt quiet, clear, final. Because in the end, this was never about $38,000. It was about something much bigger. Something they never thought I'd protect. My name. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is refuse to carry a burden that was never yours in the first place.